What is up, people? The internet, it is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video. And I wanted to do a more deep dive into redistricting and my issues with the current system in place, because I am sick and tired of hearing leftists say that Texas GQP did a gerrymander, but New York did a fairmander. I'm getting sick and tired of it, and I'm getting sick and tired of these people saying, oh, well, this is how you actually save redistricting. You gotta get these independent commissions. Yeah. Shut up. Just shut up. I am getting utterly sick and tired of these people saying that the Texas GOP gerrymandered the map, or the New York GOP or the New York Democrats had a fair map. Look, they're both wrong. Texas GOP looks hideous, but we'll get to that in a second. New York map looks hideous, and it's a clear gerrymander. Not even a gerrymander, just a flat-out attack on quote-unquote democracy. I don't like to use that phrase, but you call this an attack on democracy, this is what it is. I mean, seriously, what in the world is this? But we'll get to that in a second. Now, I want to give a clear definition of what I believe a fair map is. Alright? I want to give an example, and a perfectly reasonable example. There's basically 2 or 3 maps that have really fair maps. Michigan, probably the best map of the cycle. Alright? Doesn't lean Democrat. Sure. Alright? Is it Republican in some instances? Sure. It's a fair map, though. It accurately represents the state as a whole. So the state is essentially a couple regions. You got the Detroit area, you got central Michigan with places like Lansing, Flint, Grand Rapids, and they got the rest of the state. That's essentially what it is. And this map does a good job at doing one clear thing: keeping communities together. This is a clear definition of it. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that regions should be, districts should be surrounding a certain region with the same values or similar values as the rest of the district. So, for example, Flint, Michigan is going to be very similar with the rest of its district because it's nearby, they vote relatively the same, and again, it doesn't have to be 100% the same values, but just relatively the same. Go down to Lansing, this is very similar. Go to Grand Rapids, similar enough. And then you got Detroit. I have to give props where props is due. This is what an inner city map should look like. Not this. It keeps Detroit, its own district. And technically, I think that Michigan's 12th is still part of Detroit. Or some suburbs of it. I believe it is. Don't quote me on that. But it still has a chunk of Detroit's in Michigan's 12th. But it's, relatively speaking, just a 50-50 split. I believe so. And you got Michigan 6th, which is just a suburb of Detroit. And it is a clean map. And then you got Michigan's 11th. You got Michigan's 10th. These are more suburban parts or exurban parts of Detroit. It's a clean map. It represents the values of the voters well in that region, right? You got the northern regions, which are more populous, more working class voters. Well, then you got inner city Detroit. You got the more suburban parts of Detroit being a bit more Democrat. This is what it should be, all right? You got the Grand Rapids area being very competitive. Flint, Michigan, that region being fairly competitive. Lansing being competitive, though those two are trending Republican. It's a clean map. It's fair, and it doesn't really benefit one party or the other, though it probably does help Republicans a bit because, again, what the fuck? Again, this is an issue with old maps. This is not a fair map. Let's get that out of the way right off the bat. This is not fair at all. This is disgusting. I mean, look at this. What is this? Splits Detroit in like 3 districts. Give me a break. So yeah, the new map is clean. Another example comes from Iowa. Similar thing, essentially. There's really 4 regions. You got Davenport, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Council Bluffs. They each get their own district. And they're in regions that have essentially the same values. Iowa's 4th, very Republican, very conservative on the issues. Then you got Iowa's 2nd. There's a lot of former Democrats here, a lot of blue dog Dems. Iowa 1st, similar deal. Iowa's 3rd is really the bellwether of the seat, or of districts in the state. So that's really a clean map. Then you go to Colorado. Surprise, surprise. Again, clean map. It's a really clean map. I mean, for Christ's sake, it created a Republican trending district in Colorado's 8th as a toss-up. This is a clean map. None of these maps have major issues. But there's one thing they have to realize. The reason they don't have these issues is simple. They basically do not have to worry about the VRA protected garbage. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a horrendous rule that was created in 1965, which essentially said this. All these districts here, since they're black, majority Asian, majority Hispanic, they should get their own district just of black people. Now, Detroit, or Michigan, has Detroit, which has a lot of black population. But here's the thing, though. They kept it a one district. It's one and done. And there's a couple others, I believe. Yeah, Michigan's 12th is majority black. Michigan 6th, I think, is almost. But again, they're clean, and they do represent the values of the state, or of that region. And the rest of the state's just perfectly done. But then, you get to the issues. Illinois. Oh, God, Chicago. Now, I will only defend Illinois to an extent. Some of these districts, like Illinois' 10th, where is it? Up here. This is fine. This is a majority-minority seat protected by the VRA. And this may be the most cleanest map here. The rest of this is just, what the hell? My God. Illinois' 1st, just why? Illinois 6th, relatively fine. But again, you notice, the majority-minority districts are probably the cleanest districts in Illinois. The rest of these are just disgusting. Absolutely horrendously done by the Democrats. I mean, you call this a fair map? Really? Illinois' 13th has no reason to look like this. It's not like it's majority-minority, so therefore it has to look like this. No! It's like 80% white. So, how is this a fair map? Can somebody give me a clear explanation? It's a fair map. Now, some people are going to say, oh, well, you see, Trump only lost a state by 17, so therefore it should be Democrat majority. Yeah, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. I think it should be fairly Democrat. I have an issue when you split up a map like this. I mean, the old map was bad enough, but dear God, they extended into the suburbs. I mean, this is hideous. But this is not the worst map, by the way. There's a couple other ones that are just doozies. But again, the cleanest district here is like Illinois' 10th and like Illinois' 20th. That's how pathetic this map is. Or wait, Illinois' 1st, sorry. These are like the only clean, well, Illinois' 1st, never mind about that, but Illinois' 10th, like one of the only clean ones. The rest of this is disgusting. Now, again, these VRA protected districts do have its issues when it comes to Texas. Now, the map looks ugly. Yes, especially the Houston area. This is disgusting. But I gotta defend the Texas GOP here. This is the only defense I will give them. They are forced to make the map like this. If they don't, they get this garbage VRA protection and bullshit hit them hard. So they're forced to make the maps look like this. And God, what the fuck is this? I mean, this is disgusting. And I think all of these are majority-minority. So they have to look like this. This isn't like a Texas GQP Mander. They have to make the map like this, or the VRA protected horseshit kicks in. I mean, this is just ridiculous. But I'm not defending the rest of this map. I am not at all. Dallas, I will somewhat defend it. Because, for example, I think these districts, once again, majority-minority, so they have to look like this to meet the garbage requirement. I mean, these other solutions, right, that Democrats wanted in Texas, essentially, it would make the map just essentially, like, even more hideous. So this was probably the best map the Republicans could have passed, realistically speaking. And I do defend Texas 24th just because it's forced to look like this. But what is Texas 3rd? What is Texas 4th? I am not defending these districts whatsoever. These are unexcusable whatsoever. They're inefficient gerrymanders that split communities up. That's my issue. These counties, or I should say districts, are getting split up like nothing. I mean, seriously. Again, why? Why does Texas 23rd have to just gut into parts of San Antonio? Why does Texas 21st have to do that? What do these places have in common? What does rural Texas 23rd have to do with suburban San Antonio? It doesn't. These districts should not be like this. And Texas 15th, I won't even start on these districts. What the hell? I mean, Texas 34th they cleaned up, but the rest of these these are inefficient. And the people that say, oh, it's a GQP mander, guys, if this is a GQP mander, a GOP mander, I don't know what is. Anything could be a GOP mander. Because this is barely a gerrymander. Reason for that is simple. You go down here, alright? Not here, not here. Alright. Yeah, right here. So around 24 of the seats are Republican leaning. There's around, I think there's 38 seats. So if you do some basic math, what's 24 divided by, 24 divided by 38? Oh, 63% of these seats are Republican leaning. Republicans have won around 53, 54% of the statewide vote in Texas for years now. So it's 10% off. It's well within, reasonable margin. In fact, if it was a real GOP mander, it should be like 90% Republican. And by the way, people that say that, oh, Texas, you see here, has to gerrymander more than California because, it's closer. Which state has more districts? Texas or California? Let's look at California. What is this? Just why? You just do some basic math. 43% or 43 of the districts are Democrat leaning. And there's what? 52 total seats? That means 83% of all seats in California are lean to safe Democrat. While Democrats usually get around 60, 63% of the vote in the state. And by the way, states with more representatives, with more districts, should be closer to their popular vote standards. Why? Because there's more freaking precincts. There's more congressional districts you could split up. But they can't even do that. I mean, you look at this. Oh my god. Oh, I hate these maps so much. And of course, it's an independent commission. Guys, these independent commissions are scams. I'm fine with them suggesting stuff. But the full power redistricting should be in the hands of the state legislators. Not this crap. Right? And again, let's look at some more maps. Look at North Carolina. Is it a slight GOP mander? Sure. You can make the argument it is. Do some basic math. Around 71% of the seats do lean or safe Republican. But here's the difference. Democrats have a geography problem. This is my biggest issue. If Democrats, didn't just have Charlotte or Raleigh, right, instead had more rural votes, then yeah, I can say this maybe is not the fair map. But not, all their votes come from 2 precincts in Charlotte and 3 precincts from Raleigh. All of them. It's you can't make a clear, clean, community-driven map if all your freaking votes are from 2 areas. Same thing in Wisconsin. Here's a Republican plan. So here's the issue with Wisconsin. It's going to get 6 Republican seats no matter what you do. People may say, that's a clear GOP mander. I mean, what is that? That's 75% Republican, while see here, Wisconsin actually went 48% Democrat or something like that. Here's the thing though. Where are all the votes in Wisconsin? You guessed it, Milwaukee and Madison. They don't have votes anywhere else in the state. Outside of northern Wisconsin, where Superior is, they have nothing. They have no votes. So, the Democrats' proposal for a map, right, of making, Kenosha's district, Wisconsin's first, go from R plus 14 to R plus 6. Look what they have to do. The old map, you see this part of Milwaukee? Bloop, it just magically goes in Wisconsin's first. Just why? And plus, they gut the rest of the state. I mean, seriously, the rest of the district. They gut the northern half. I mean, seriously. Why? Just, what is the point of this? This is a Democrat proposal, by the way. This is the only way they can be somewhat competitive in Wisconsin's first. They have to split the map up. And again, what the fuck? Oh my god, it just looks like a dick. That's what all these maps look like. Just have dicks everywhere. And I know I'm not trying to, I'm joking around, but still, it's disgusting what these maps look like. Now, what are my solutions? Redistricting should be based on 3 principles. 1, community-driven. All these districts should be the same region, right? Wisconsin's map, for example, it's based on region, essentially, not Tony Evers' map. The Republican plan actually is a clean map. You look down here in Milwaukee, and they have the same freaking issue. Really? But relatively speaking, they make Milwaukee more of just one district, right? And they clean up the borders a little bit over here. They clean up over here. And they give more seats over here, or more counties over here, that are Republican in the one district. And these districts share these values. They're clean, they're fair. Relatively speaking, these are what maps should look like. They should be community-driven, not based on race. I'm sick and tired of the race crap because, guys, we're segregating based on race. That's what essentially happened. Oh, the black people can be in one district, says the white liberal. That's what's happening. Anyways, the second thing is, of course, it should be as compact as possible. These districts, like in Utah, well, not Utah. Utah's definitely not a good example. Arkansas. You got Arkansas second. It's relatively compact. It's not just absurd wiggles around the map, right? Arkansas fourth has a little issue here, but this is fine. The third one should be based on as much competitiveness as possible. Michigan's third, or Michigan does this perfectly. It creates 3 competitive seats that are not extreme gerrymanders. They're just clean districts. And by the way, again, state legislators have the full right to create whatever districts they want as long as it follows those 3 principles. If the Democrats, by the way, made like a 25-1 Democrat vote here in New York, where it's like very clean, there's a couple competitive seats, I wouldn't care. I just have an issue when these districts look like this, that. And I'm frustrated with Texas. Again, some of these districts have no right to look like this. Texas 5th, Texas 4th, Texas 13th, well, not Texas 13th, Texas 22nd, or 26th. They should not look like this. Texas 31st. They should be significantly cleaner than this. Yes, they have some issues with the VRA stuff, but it is no excuse for them to look like this. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below. Subscribe, share with friends, hit the little bell, and yes. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.